Fast Friday presented by Aleve continues on Fox Sports 1. We're getting ready for NASCAR Sprint Cup Series qualifying, and the first time that the new knockout qualifying format has been used on a super speedway. Beautiful day in Las Vegas. A few wispy clouds off to the south, and that's about it. It is just a gorgeous day, 70 degrees, but the wind has been very persistent straight down the back straightaway. Here's the new rule for tracks 1.25 miles and longer, except the two road courses. Round 1, 25 minutes. That will set the 36 qualifiers by time and the provisionals. The fastest 24, though, advance to round 2. Round 2 is 10 minutes, and that will lock in positions 13 to 24. But the fastest 12 advance to the final round, where the quickest is the pole sitter. You cannot stand on your time from a previous round. This is going to be fun. Chris Devoda?
Thanks, Mike. The Hendrick Motorsports cars were extremely good in knockout qualifying in Phoenix. So do you guys have the same sort of game plan strategy-wise for Las Vegas?
In some ways, yes. You know, going fast is key. Still kind of learning how this format works, what's best for us. Clearly, if you have a fast race car like we have had so far, it makes things a lot easier, and you can control how many outings you have and keep the temps down on the car. But you know, where things get really tricky is if you're near the bump zone in either of the first two sessions, and that's when stress is really going to pick up. And I hope we don't have to go through that today. Our Kobalt tools, Chevrolet has been awesome, and hope to get a good starting spot.
And that's when they may have to do like what you do in Vegas and gamble, Mike.
Absolutely. In practice, Carl Edwards was quickest. Joey Logano, Jimmy Johnson was third fastest. Ricky Stenhouse and Jamie McMurray were the fast 5. Let's check in with the fellow who was quickest, Matt Yoakum.
And one guy who definitely knows about getting around Las Vegas Motor Speedway quickly is Carl Edwards. So what are we going to see today with this knockout qualifying, which is different than what we saw in Phoenix?
Well, I hope you see a real fast Affleck Ford. I mean, we're super good in practice, but the biggest thing is you're not going to be able to run lap after lap. It's so important to keep it cool, keep the tape on it. Man, I hope we can get the pole. We got a fast car, and tonight we'll be over at the Orleans with Jeff Hammond. We're gonna do a question and answer session. It's free to the public.
It always gets wild.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm more nervous about qualifying or nervous about doing question and answer with Jeff Hammond. So, but yeah, we'll be over at the Orleans tonight. But hopefully we can get a pole here. We need to get a pole and get a win right now so we can put ourselves in the chase. That's our mission.
He already has 2 here at Las Vegas, chasing a 3rd.
Well, we knew Phoenix qualifying would be hairy, so what can we expect at Las Vegas, Danica?
Probably some more of the same. Obviously, there's more space. Yeah, I think it's going to be more of the same. It actually worked out a lot more calm than I thought it would at Phoenix. But it was interesting with everybody cooling them off. So, yeah, I think we're going to get out there and try and get it done this time instead of waiting around. So, so far the Aspen Dental car has been really fast. Practice yesterday and today, and it's a big improvement from last year, and I'm really, really proud of the team for that and everybody. So we'll give it our best shot and hope to make it through a couple of rounds.
New strategy for the 10 this week.
Thanks, Krista. We are ready for knockout qualifying on Fox Sports 1. Welcome back to Las Vegas Motor Speedway for NASCAR Sprint Cup qualifying on Fast Friday, presented by Aleve. Well, we're moving off into the unknown here. Hi, everybody. Mike Joy, Larry McReynolds, Darrell Waltrip with you. Now, Darrell, if you want to win the pole for today's race, you don't just have to be good in the first session. The second session, you've got to make 3 really great runs, conserve your tires and your resources, but go as fast as you can. Is that a kind of cross purposes?
Well, I mean, that's the strategy, obviously. I think the guy that can go out here in this first session and lay down a lap that locks him into the top 24, then you're in your comfort zone. You don't have to go out again. So now, and what I've seen, and Larry and I both were surprised, these tires aren't falling off. We thought maybe one lap, a good lap out of the tires, but actually they've been better on the second time out. So That's encouraging. You get in the top 24, then you move on, and you still got good tires. And that's where the rub starts, though. When you start getting closer to who's going to be in that final 12, that's when you're going to have a really good strategy.
Well, Denny Hamlin, he certainly expects to be one of those contenders. But, Larry, for the drivers who have to make the show, and we've got a big field here, 48 cars. their chore is completely different.
Yeah, I mean, we have a number of drivers, Mike, that I think they feel like that they can easily run a lap to make the top 24 to advance to their second round. But then we have our guys that they fight to make these races. And as you say, when this is all done, when this first round, 25 minutes is over, we're going to know what 5 drivers are not going to make this show. But what I can't wait for this particular version here with the 3 rounds, that last round is only 5 minutes. That is not very long. That's pretty much one run, and you'll be done, and then you're going to have to see how you stack up, or maybe if you're on the pole.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. Compress it down. That's where the drama picks up.
All right, we're stepping off into the great unknown. First time for 3-round knockout qualifying, Matt Yoakum.
Now, the Penske cars set the benchmark last week at Phoenix in knockout qualifying. You guys fired off pit road early, knocking down your times. Is that going to be the same game plan today, or are you going to call an audible?
And most likely, you had to get out early because the engines are just way too hot, and you're going to blow one if you don't. So it's everything we can do to try to put down a fast lap here in qualifying, but not blow the engine up and cause ourselves problems in the race.
All right, thanks, Brett.
Thank you.
There's one group of cars closer to turn 1 due to the blind draw, and we'll tell you who has a better shot to get out early next. At the ready, NASCAR Sprint Cup qualifying with the knockout format. Let's check with Krista.
With Trevor Bayne, who was very fast in the test session yesterday, sort of the class of the Fords. How are you going to be today in qualifying?
Well, yesterday was a lot of fun. We got to actually have data on the car and learn a lot here with our Wood Brothers Ford. But today was a little bit different for us. It's back to the normal practice sessions, and we were decent. We unloaded pretty quick out of the Fords, and then everybody seemed to get a little better. So we didn't seem to make the gains in practice that I was hoping to make. But hopefully here for qualifying, Donnie, we can go put the magic setup on this thing, and we can go fast. Our goal here is to at least make 2 qualifying runs. We want to at least make it into that second session. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be crazy trying to make as many runs as you can and get the best lap you can.
Thanks, Trevor.
Thank you.
Now, as you look at the cars on pit road, beginning with Denny Hamlin, this was all set by a blind draw. And those first 20 cars, back to Casey Mears right there, they are closest to turn 1. They have the best chance of getting out on track first. Now, after that opening, and you go deeper in the field, you find Dale Earnhardt Jr., Tony Stewart there, Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards quickest in practice, Brad Keselowski, and Jeff Gordon and others who don't have as easy as a try to get out there right at the opening minute of this session.
No, we felt like the random draw didn't mean a whole lot until we saw it at Phoenix, where those drivers like Denny Hamlin and Paul Menard and those down near the end of pit road, you heard Brad Keselowski talk about it. We saw Greg Biffle last week at Phoenix. He absolutely left pit road like he stole his race car, but that way he could get out there and make that lap quicker and didn't have to worry about sitting on pit road and let the engine idle and everything else.
I think it's kind of interesting. The things that we thought would be problems, like crowded people in your way on the racetrack, tires. The only thing these guys have talked about since last week was cooling the engine down. That's been their biggest concern. You just heard Brad say, we don't want to get the engine too hot and cause ourselves problems in the race. So tires, track position, all those things don't seem to be a big problem for these guys. Cooling that engine down is their main priority.
And tires were what we expected would be an issue, because you have to run all 3 rounds if you're in that top 12 on 1 set of tires.
Well, with the little bit of grip that this racetrack continues to lose grip, because we've been racing here for a number of years, and this is the same Goodyear tire combination that we've ran here the last 2 years, and it just appears that the premise has been that tires would go off, but I think because of the setup of these cars, it's not going away as quick as we thought it would.
Yeah, if the tires go off, just give the cars more downforce, and the tires won't go off so fast. Look at this.
Look at Brad Keselowski in that, too. He's got to make sure he gets out there quickly.
Looks like Spaghetti Junction.
Well, he told us essentially that's what he was going to do.
So 25 minutes of this session is on. Now the pit road speed rule is in effect. It's our understanding.
Which is 45 miles per hour. I'm not sure that's in effect.
I don't think it wasn't. It must have just gone into effect.
All right, Hamlin didn't even back up out of his pit stall because he had no one in front of him. I guess it's like being first at the traffic light. So he is on the clock for his first lap. Now there are more than a dozen cars that are still parked in their pit stalls, and they can go out whenever they want, as often as they want, run as many or as few laps as they want. Denny Hamlin, 28.56, 189.7. Bested by Paul Menard.
Yeah, just 40. And there's a new track record by Brad Keselowski, 28.24.
What did you say?
It's a new track record.
That's what I thought you said.
The more things change, the more they seem to say the same when it comes to that. Guess what? It's another new track record.
Austin Dillon.
I don't think we're done with this, boys.
We thought we had a chance to get down in the possibly the 27-second bracket.
I think, well, I don't know. That 28.19, that's fast.
Now,
that's
keep
192 miles an hour.
Keep in mind, the fastest lap in this session has nothing to do with who wins the pole, other than the top 24 in this session will transfer to the next round. Now here's Tony Stewart, the car we're watching, and that is his time relative to the fastest so far, Austin Dillon. About 4/10 off for Stewart. And for the moment, he slots in 9th.
Now what's interesting, Casey Kane in this 5 right here, which is 6th quickest, and his teammate Jimmy Johnson in the 48 that's 3rd, they actually rode around the apron about a half a lap, which tells me they don't have as much tape on that car. It's almost like they're trying to be a little conservative, knowing that they could make the top 24 with just a good solid lap.
Larry, I think the key to this session, this 25-minute session, get you that one fast lap that locks you in. You know you're comfortable. That's less laps on your tires. You got a long time to cool the engine down and be ready for next round.
Dale Jr. jumped from 10th to 7th on that second lap. And now here is Carl Edwards.
Whoa, Carl, hang on, bud. Fighting that thing.
And Darrell, that was coming to the green flag off turn 4. That even though he really hadn't started his lap, that could hurt his lap.
Well, it's probably new tires on that car, because we've seen new tires be a little squirrely. I think there was probably sticker tires, and he was getting the new knocked off of him. I think he's laying down a pretty fast lap, though. He was fastest in practice. Let's see what he's got.
It'll be about a 10th off of Austin Dillon. And he's 3rd.
3rd quick. Now here's a guy, Kyle Busch. Just think about what he's been through this afternoon. He's wrecked his primary car in the nationwide race right at the last minute, jumped out there in a backup car, got a few laps. Now he's out here in his cup car to get ready to try to qualify.
He is 8th right now at 28.47. He lacks about a quarter second from pole. And you can see that number growing down the back straightaway, just not carrying quite as much straightaway speed as Austin Dillon did. Now it's coming back down as he comes to the line, and Kyle Busch moves from 8th to 3rd.
Nice job on that run.
And we've talked about tape on the nose. Here you see they're pulling the tape off of Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s number 88 car. Right now he's 11th. I'm sure they feel pretty good about that lap, but what I do anticipate, he may go out there and ride around a lap or two, just trying to cool that engine back down.
Martin Truex Jr. has jumped to 2nd. With his first lap, 28.21.
Boy, that is a huge improvement for those guys, Larry. I mean, that 78 car, they had all kind of problems. The oil line off first time out this morning in practice. Hadn't been that fast, and lays down that 2nd quick lap. Woo, nice job.
Now on our Fox box, Reed Sorensen is 24th. That's the last transfer spot to make it to the next round. 28 drivers have taken time so far. Marcus Ambrose will be the 29th. Round 1 of 3 rounds of knockout qualifying in Las Vegas. Welcome back to Fast Friday, presented by Aleve. It is rush hour in Las Vegas. Jeff Gordon is now going after Austin Dillon's current fastest qualifying position. I don't say provisional pole, because this round does not determine the pole. And Joey Logano just had a moment as he came up on Marcus Ambrose. Ambrose was all squirrely in turn number 2, Here comes Logano and almost ran over him.
Yeah, I don't think there was any contact, but it was mighty close.
That could have been real bad there. Real bad.
And, you know, that's the first incident we've seen like that where somebody was in somebody's way making a qualifying run. Hadn't seen that.
No apparent damage to either car. That's the good news. Here's Ryan Newman, 20th right now.
Yeah, again, his teammate Austin Dillon in that 3 car still on top of the charts.
You know, Larry, you're talking about Dale Jr. He was up there in the top 10 for a little while. He's 13th now. I don't think he's got any worries, but if I got down to about 15th, I'd start rethinking my strategy here about maybe wanting to make one more run.
And that may be why they pulled that tape off, to get that thing cooled down in case they feel they need to.
All right, David Reagan is now 24th. You see him highlighted in white on the sticker. As we have a look at Clint Boyer. Remember, 24 will advance, 36 will qualify, and Clint Boyer jumps to second, 28.19 with a 7 1/1000ths off of Austin Dillon's current fast time.
Another car that made a huge gain from practice.
You know, Darrell, you saw Jeff Gordon there in the 24 car riding around the apron. That's one difference that we have here that we didn't have at Phoenix. We have a big apron that these drivers can get down on to run around slow to cool the cars down.
Yeah, we have a cool down lane here if you want to use it, called the apron.
And Trevor Bayne gets bumped down to that 24th and final transfer spot to round 2. So the important positions here, 24th and 36th. Because the 36th place driver in this round is the last one who will qualify for the race on time.
Yeah, just look at the 24 spot right now. Matt Kenseth's 23rd, Jeff Gordon in 22nd, Ryan Newman. Those guys are sitting there on the bubble right now.
Kevin Harvick, 10th and a half off of Austin Dillon as he comes across.
And that just knocked Matt Kenseth out of the top 24.
11th for Harvick. Now here's rookie Kyle Larson, who had some fast laps during practice earlier today, and you saw the green there. For a while, he was on quicker pace than Austin Dillon on this lap.
Yeah, just remember our graphic right here. If it's in red, that's how far he's behind the pole sitter. If it goes to green, that means he's ahead of the pole sitter. Right now, he's pushing toward 1 3/4 tenths slower than Austin Dillon.
He's going to clock in here pretty good, though. It's 4th quick.
12th for Kyle Larson.
12th quick. Jamie McMurray just went to 4th.
And now Ryan Newman
changing fast
is 24th and on the bubble to advance on the bubble to make the race. 36th reads Michael Annett now.
Yeah, Gordon
just bumped his teammate out.
Right now, Jeff Gordon and Matt Kenseth are out of this session, out of this qualifying session.
Josh Wise, nice lap for the 98. He moves to 24th.
We've had all but 2 drivers make a run. One of those is Greg Biffle in the 16. He just now completed a lap, and boy, did he ever come close to Reed Sorensen in that 36. And Reed was all the way down on the apron on the front stretch.
I've seen a number of close calls, Larry. Just saw them on a cool down here on the front straightaway. Dale Jr. and the 40 car almost got together, cooling their cars down.
Biffle is 19th. So the drivers in jeopardy from Allgaier, the 51 on back, at risk of not making the show.
Yeah, everyone but Marcus Ambrose in the 9, and I think we saw why he hadn't made a run yet,
yes,
because of that close call in turn 2. Everyone's made a lap.
Tony Stewart to the bubble now of advancing. Now here comes Biffle to finish that lap.
You're going to see, I think, Reed Sorensen in that 36, that white car. He was down. He was all the way down on the apron, but we see the drivers cut the corner a lot, trying to shorten up the straightaway on a qualifying run.
Yeah, Biff was just trying to get all he could right there and save all he could.
And Reed was trying to be out of the way. If he'd gone any further left, he'd be mowing grass.
We've kind of reached a point where everyone except Marcus Ambrose in the 9 has made a run, and now we're seeing all these drivers with tape off cooling their cars down, a lot like last week at Phoenix.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be some guys that got to get back out there. Dale Jr. being one of them, Tony Stewart, Denny Hamlin, certainly Ryan Newman, Jeff Gordon, Matt Kenseth. They're not in right now.
Right, everybody below Tony Stewart right now, not in the top 24, will not advance. Knockout qualifying, Las Vegas style. 14 minutes left in round 1 of knockout qualifying. here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Now, Parker Kligerman, interesting story for this rookie. Remember last week at Phoenix, at the end of round 1 of knockout qualifying there, his car was pushing a lot of water. It had badly overheated. He was the second car out of the race on Sunday with engine failure.
That's just what I think that Brett Keselowski was referring to, Mike. We don't want to hurt the engine here on qualifying.
Now, this is Kligerman versus Tony Stewart for the right to advance, and he misses it by 4 1/1000ths on that lap. Matt?
And down here in the 24 pit, Mike. Now, after Jeff Gordon made his run, he came back in. They pulled the tape off the grill, and then, as you mentioned, he went back out and rode around on the apron, shutting it off, trying to get the temperatures to come down. Came back in, and now they are taping back up the grill. They're making some chassis adjustments because Gordon told Alan Gustafson that the car really needed to be tightened up. It was way too free, especially on entry into turn 1. So they are counting down, watching the temperature gauge, and seeing how much time is left to get the 24 car back out for one more attempt.
Now, last week, the difference between advancing and being left behind, Kevin Harvick missed it by 1 1/1000th of a second. Right now, 24 advance, and the gap to 25th is 2 1/1000th of a second. Tony Stewart versus Josh Wise, and at speed, that's about 6 inches, over 1.5 miles. So there's the battle for the bubble. In the lower left, Stewart, then Wise, Kligerman, and Newman.
Yeah, I mean, I like this qualifying scenario. I like it a lot. But we do need to figure out a way to keep the cars cool so they don't have to do what they're doing right now. I don't know. They don't want to put the cool down machines on them. I still think not putting all the tape on them will be the hot tip.
12 minutes to go in round 1. And here's Joey Logano. He's better than Tony Stewart right now. So Logano trying to bump Stewart out of round 2.
Yeah, I think he'll go well inside the top 24 because remember his first run is when he almost ran up on Marcus Ambrose off of turn 2. So I think Joey will be in great shape well inside the top 24.
Yeah, and we've seen, Larry, from practice that the tires do have a couple of really good runs in them.
Logano's 10th. Good run. But that kicks Stewart out and puts Denny Hamlin on the bubble of those to advance. David Reagan stays on the bubble of those trying to make the race in 36. There's Reagan, top of the center column, top of your screen.
Yeah, Junior's down to 21st now, and Greg Biffle's just had him in 20th, and Brian Vickers is 23rd. So these guys have got to be sitting there wondering should they get back out or not. I think that was a little bit of just a little wiggle, a waggle.
Matt Kenseth is in by 4 1/100ths of a second, and that'll bump Brian Vickers from the top 24, then Denny Hamlin, then Stewart.
Oh, that's just so close. Look at that. I could put a paper.
That's about as close as you can
put a piece of paper in there
and not hit it.
That's a pro right there, man.
We're starting to definitely see some drivers make that second run, but I think it's more those drivers that are just barely inside the top 24 or outside the top 24.
Or like David Gilliland, barely inside the top 36. Gilliland is 35th. He has a little cushion on his teammate David Reagan, 36th. But from Reagan to Justin Allgaier, who's 1 spot away from making the show on time, just 3 1/100ths of a second. Tony Stewart trying to battle back into the top 24. He's 26th right now.
And this is to Brian Vickers, who right now in the 55 car is 24th. Looks like he's going to jump in front of Vickers.
Where'd he go?
13th.
Up to 13th.
13th for Stewart. Nice run.
That's a good safe spot to be at this point.
Now you saw Martin Truex Jr. there with just a little under 10 minutes left in this round. He feels pretty safe being 3rd quickest right now.
Welcome back to NASCAR Sprint Cup qualifying at Las Vegas. Austin Dillon quickest, Clint Boyer, Martin Truex. Jamie Mack and Brad Kay are the fast 5, but 24th where Dale Earnhardt Jr. sits. That's where the action is, because only 24 cars will transfer to round 2. Brian Vickers, top of the chart.
Whoa, we made it into 27s.
And another new track record.
And that's got to be that's over 192 miles an hour average. Look at that, 193 miles an hour around this joint. That's got to be 210, 212 going down these straightaways.
You have to give credit to Brian Vickers and his race team, because 4 hours of testing yesterday, he actually slapped the wall. So there's been a lot of work that's went on in that 55 camp. Now he's sitting on top here with a little over 8 minutes to go.
And that did knock Dale Jr. out. He's 25th. I think he's got his car cooled down. He'll take that thing up and make another run. Probably get in, but he's sitting 25th right now.
25th by 8/1000ths of a second.
Hamlin's out. Gordon's out. There's some pretty good guys that got to make another effort here before this thing ends.
Here's the Phil Parsons car, the Ambient Edge Chevy. They missed the show last week after making the transition to Chevrolet, but Josh Wise looks like he's pretty solid right now, 28th. Matt?
Yeah.
Mike, Jeff Gordon just pulled off pit road, and Martin Truex talking to Todd Berry. Are you going to make any changes to the 78 machine for the next round?
Probably. Can't tell you what, though.
As far as the car, what did it react to most as far as which end of the racetrack?
Yeah, I think the shade really helped us a lot in 1 and 2. It's so bumpy down there that it's really difficult to get through there good. All of our gain in speed from practice till now was just 1 and 2. Part of it was the shade, part of it was the adjustments they made. So I can't thank these guys enough, though. We've had a rough day, obviously. We've had a rough start to the year. We needed this, so we need to have a good day here today, and I feel like we got a good race car from testing yesterday. So hopefully we'll finish off today up front, get to work tomorrow.
Nice recovery, Mike, from that oil leak in the first practice.
Greg Biffle got a good lap. He jumped up to 17th and knocked his old teammate Matt Kenseth out of the top 24. Here's rookie Alex Bowman trying to improve and make sure he's in the show. He's 34th right now.
Here's
top 36 make it, and here's Junior.
Yeah, he's got to get a lap in here. He's got to run at least a 28.50, because that's what Stenhouse is at 28.51 right now on the 24th spot. He's got the green light so far. Looking pretty good.
Casey Kane now on the bubble. Stenhouse bumped out.
Looking real good.
Oh, he's going to be
in
real good shape.
Amazingly
How about
good.
this?
Second for Dale Jr.
Good lap, great lap.
Yeah, we've now had 16 drivers run quicker than that old track record that Casey Kane set a couple years ago.
And Jeff Gordon now 7th. And that puts A.J. Allmendinger on the bubble for advancing. Casey Kane right now 2 spots away. He's 26th.
He's going to jump
Not
way
anymore.
Up. Yeah.
Wow, Casey Kane
to second.
Ran second in this race last year to Matt Kenseth. That's a great run for Casey Kane.
All right, that moves about to be new dad Paul Menard onto the bubble.
A lot of guys are saying, come on, clock, run out time. We got to stop.
5 minutes and 40 seconds.
Look at that. This is one of the drivers has to get in. He has to be on keel right now in that 77 car.
Yep, Dave Blaney. They missed the show. They've got to go. They've got to make some of these shows, because you miss the show, there is no payday. And Blaney looks like he's overheated it a bit, and he is 41st right now in that 77. Coming up on 5 minutes to go in round 1. Round 1 of knockout qualifying drawing to a close. Just about 5 minutes to go, and here is Denny Hamlin, who was the first car off pit road due to the blind draw, but he is right now 30th. That means he would make the race, but he would not advance to round 2 of knockout qualifying. Only the top 24 advance.
Here's Ricky Stenhouse, who was in pretty solid there a little bit ago. He's 27th right now, trying to not get himself back in. Let's see if he can do it.
Yeah, he's going to jump way up the charts, it looks like. 14.
Yep, good run for him.
If you look right here, 4.5 minutes to go. The drivers you're seeing make a run right now, it's going to be hard for them to get their cars cooled down and get back out there and make another run.
Now, the drivers who really have their work cut out for them, from Michael Annett on back, that would be position 37. Blake Cook, Justin Allgaier, Ryan Truex, and Dave Blaney, Landon Castle and Reed Sorensen, and more have got to go to get in the show.
Been a lot of traffic on the track today, a lot more than I thought there would be.
Denny Hamlin on his hot lap. That's J.J. Yaley just ahead. And Hamlin did not get a chance. Partly Yaley, but partly there was one car way down on the apron, so he couldn't cut the corner.
And Darrell, even if it didn't slow the speed of the car down, it had to be a distraction to Denny Hamlin.
Well, he had to change his line. And when you have to move the car, change your line, it's going to knock a little speed out of it.
All right, Paul Menard's been bumped down to 26th. Danica Patrick is on the bubble. Here is Menard, and he's back in 10th quickest.
Wow, that's great. Danica's now 25th.
And that moves Greg Biffle onto the bubble. As far as who would advance, as far as who would make the race, Alex Bowman is 36th.
And in just about 4 minutes, the bubble time on the stopwatch has moved a 1/10.5 from a 51 to a 36.
Looks like Chris is going, or Danica's going to be close. Krista.
Want to give you guys an update on the 5. Casey Kane, you saw him shoot up to the top, towards the top of the boards. He was out there just trying to cool the engine down when he just came on the radio and said he has a flat right rear tire.
Well, it's no different than going back to last year's qualifying. If on your qualifying lap you had a flat tire, you had a flat tire. You went to the garage area and you took what you had. This whole hour is a qualifying session. You cannot change tires or a tire.
While Ryan Truex overheating as he tries to get the Borla exhaust Toyota into the race right now. Truex is 40th.
Danica jumped up to, I'll tell you, her car is really good this weekend. Jumped up to 10th quick. A really nice run there, and she's solid in the top 24.
Well, she did not bump her boss, but she moved Tony Stewart back to that all-important 24th spot. Marcus Ambrose did not get a quick lap in. We saw him get real loose up in turn 2 and abort his run, which put him right in the path of another car.
That's his first clean lap, but he's still 48th out of the 48 drivers.
Something's not right there.
No, and he's slowing down, going down the back, so that was a try.
I got high water pressure. Water to 225.
No water pressure?
No water.
And that's the thing you fight. You fight water temp and water pressure. When you see water start to spit out, it's because it's exceeded the pop-off valve. It's not all about heat. It's about pressure as much.
Yeah.
All right, you saw Timmy Hill trying to get back in, 44th. Trying to reach 36.
I guess if you blew all the water out of it, you can't put water back in it.
Cannot raise the hood. That's the whole premise behind NASCAR not allowing cool-down machines is raising the hood.
Now, when this session draws to a close and the starter waves the red and black flag, you get to pass the start-finish line once after that flag starts waving. So if you have begun your hot lap, you may finish it.
Biffle is not looking that good. You can see he's in the red here versus Tony Stewart.
Yeah, and he's got his hands full. That thing was all over the place.
Too tight.
And too tight, and Greg Biffle will not advance. Now right behind him, David Gilliland picks up a little bit. We're in the final minute.
Here comes another guy that's working really hard to try to get in the top 24. Trevor Bain. Right now, he's sitting back here.
Brian Newman's in for the moment. Trevor Bain was 34th and does not advance.
Matt Kenseth, 29th.
Alex Bowman on the bubble, 36th. Michael Annett is 2 spots away.
He's not going to get there. It doesn't look like, not even close.
No, he actually
shut down. Way too hot, I think.
Brian Newman comes flying across, trying to better. And he does, picks up from 23rd to 20th. Matt Kenseth to the line.
Just barely was able to start that lap. He went underneath the flag stand, red and black, but he can complete this lap. As long as you don't see you see the red and the black flag one time.
Yeah, he's slowing down, though. I think that was his run, and it wasn't good enough. He's 29th.
One car coming off turn number 4 at speed.
David Reagan needs a little over a half of a tenth, but as you can see, he's not going to get there.
And that does it for round 1 of knockout qualifying.
Woo!
Brian Vickers quickest. Tony Stewart is the last to advance. And when we come back, we'll let you know who's in, who's out, who's up, and who's parked. Whew, that was frantic.
Wow.
Round 1 of knockout qualifying. Chris Kubota.
Brian Vickers, the quickest in that first session. That's the good news. The bad news is I just heard you say you got to do it 2 more times.
Yeah, we've got to do it 2 more times. Really proud of everyone that's Airstream machine. They did a great job. Toyota's running strong. We're all still learning this whole system, and we got jumbled up on the first time out. And the second time out, we got a clean lap, and it paid off for us. Yeah, I know we're all learning. I still, riding around the bottom, and we got to do it. I mean, it's the only way to keep the engine cool without a cool down unit. But that has got to be the most dangerous thing I've ever done in racing. The 36 went by me at 190 miles an hour faster than 170 miles an hour faster than I was going. Had he slipped or hit me, I'd be done. It would be so bad. I know we're working on it, and we're working on it together. I think it's really exciting qualifying for the fans, and I'm pumped about that. But we shouldn't be out there riding around at 20 miles an hour with cars going 190.
Huge accomplishment for this team in a backup car, Brian. Matt Yoakum?
And catching up with Greg Biffle, and Greg, you were telling the team the car was tight. Was turns 3 and 4 the culprit for you?
Just a little bit tight everywhere. Just couldn't use all the throttle we needed to get the lap. We had a little bit of that in practice, but we got some fast runs and then some slow ones, so it was sort of back and forth.
All right, thank you, Greg.
Yep.
He was definitely busy inside that race car.
Yeah, and when you turn the wheel and you crank into those front tires and they bite, that's when the thing kind of snaps around on the back.
All right, let's take a look. First, the 24 drivers who will advance, led by Brian Vickers, Casey Kane, Dale Jr., Austin Dillon, and Clint Boyer. Now, none of these times count. They do count for setting the track record because it happened in official qualifying, but it will not determine your starting spot. So these 12 drivers down through Tony Stewart, and this week, Kevin Harvick advances. He missed it by a spot last week. They advanced to round 2. Now, these next drivers, 25 through 36, will start in those positions on race day, beginning with Greg Biffle.
Some big names there. Denny Hamlin, Matt Kenseth, the winner of this race a year ago.
So Alex Bowman is the last driver to lock in on time. These drivers will have to wait and see who is awarded the provisionals. And since I don't see a past champion in that group, that means there will be 7 provisional spots, and this is the last race of the year where we rely on 2013 car owner points to determine the provisional starters. Beginning next week, we'll use this year's points. Matt Kenseth talks it over as we get ready for round 2 of knockout qualifying, and we'll winnow 24 drivers down to 12. As we get ready for round 2, here's a closer look at today's qualifying with Sprint. The only Las Vegas winner from the pole, hometown hero Kyle Busch in 2009. Switch now to the new Sprint family plan. We're up to 10 of your friends and family get unlimited talk, text, and a gig of data for as low as $25 a month each on the Sprint network. Go to sprint.com for more. So these 5 drivers, as they pull the chute over there at Nellis Air Force Base across the street, Blake Cook, Landon Castle, J.J. Yaley, Dave Blaney, and Joe Nemechek are the 5 drivers who will not receive provisional starting spots and will head home today. Krista?
Well, Mike, Matt Kenseth is in the show, but he does not move on to the next round of qualifying, so you need to defend your race win from way back in the pack. Can you do it?
I don't know. I was depressed last week not making 12. This week we couldn't make 24, so it was really bad. I got to figure out what I'm doing wrong and try to help these guys a little bit more here behind me. So not sure what went wrong. We worked on qualifying pretty hard today, all day really, and we were off a little bit, but I didn't think we were off near this far. I thought we would have been, I thought we would have made the top 12, probably in the bottom half of that. So hopefully it'll be better tomorrow. I think that's the worst we qualified since I came over here, so I gotta get better at it for sure.
Thanks, Matt.
Green flag for round 2. Some are anxious, some are not to get on the track now. This is a 10-minute round. 25 for the first round, 10 for the second, 5 for the third. And it's very simple. Everybody's in the race. Half of this group will advance. 12 will advance, and 12 will have positions 13 through 24 set right here.
Yeah, this is pretty manageable right here. 24 cars, a lot of cars out there at one time, but I see the guys down here at the end of pit road. They're waiting for spacing. They're waiting to get them a clear lap, so this is pretty manageable with the amount of time you have.
Yeah, Clint Boyer won the battle off pit road in that 15 car to be the first driver out there.
Jimmy Johnson not far behind him. He's in hot pursuit.
And remember, all the times are reset to 0. So the times that were, and the track record will hold that was set in round 1, but it will not help determine starting position.
And that's kind of how, you know, it's funny. That's how we thought it would probably go, that your track record or your fastest at times would be in the first session, maybe a little slower in the second session, and even slower yet in the third if the tires do what we think they'll do.
Boyer 28.10, Jimmy Johnson 28.15.
That's a pretty fast
Austin
lap.
Dillon a 15. So it's Boyer, Dillon, Johnson, then Harvick. Eric Almirola second, 28.14.
Those are still fast laps, guys. I mean, you think about 27.90, whatever it was on Vickers there, and those times are right there. So the tires haven't fallen off much.
Carl Edwards 28.17, now 5th. And Kevin Harvick 6th. Jeff Gordon 7th. Casey Kane 8th.
Here's Brad Keselowski in the 2 car. And what's interesting, we have several drivers that's been out there running 1 or 2 slow laps to start the session, like Casey Kane in the 5 did the same thing at the beginning of the first session.
Second for the deuce.
Last week I thought that Keselowski and Joey Logano maybe had some kind of a formula figured out for this kind of qualifying. And today there's Brad up there in second, and Joey is
he's not run yet, Darrell.
Hadn't made his run yet.
Nope. Ryan Newman 10th. Casey Kane 9th. Kurt Busch coming out. Only 10 of these 24 have posted a time so far.
All 4 of the Stewart-Haas drivers transferred to the top 24, and Danica Patrick in the 10 was the fastest of the 4.
Jamie McMurray up for second. 28.10 with a 2 1/1000ths behind Boyer. Dale Earnhardt Jr. to 9th. And just got bumped down to 10th by Martin Truex, who is now 3rd. Kurt Busch 12th.
Got us a little bit different guys at the top this time in this session.
3rd for Truex. Now 12 is the cutoff. That's where Kurt Busch is right now. 12 drivers will advance to run for the first 12 starting spots.
Kyle Larson in the 42. His teammate Jamie McMurray is second in the 1 car. Both these guys had a lot of speed at Phoenix last week on qualifying day.
Thing looks solid off turn 4 there.
And Krista reports that Casey Kane's team, after consultation with NASCAR and Goodyear, determined that the tire got a hole in it on the right rear, so they were allowed to change that tire. Now, they don't get a brand new tire from Goodyear. They have to take one out of their inventory for practice and qualifying that's already mounted up and ready to go. So, but he will be able to complete this round with a different tire on there. Now here's Ricky Stenhouse going out for his first run. 12th now, Dale Earnhardt Jr. on the bubble to advance. 5th for Stenhouse.
Nice run. Junior's knocked out right there. He's 13th. Kyle Larson on the bubble.
All of these drivers have locked in top 24 positions. We're trying to see who will advance into the final round, and Joey Logano all but assured because he has the fastest lap in this session, 27.99. Now that's only 100th of a second off the fastest lap Brian Vickers had in the first round.
That is an amazing run. Second time out, second session here, and to run a lap like that,
keeps
track's
this up
really fast.
Keeps this up. He's going to be front rowy, Joey.
Working on it.
Well, if these tires have staying power like they seem like they do, we're starting to get more and more shade down the latter part of the front stretch and through turn 1 and 2, and that's going to be more grip.
There's got to be, you know, the weather's got to be in these guys' favor right now, Larry, because these times are amazing. Thinking that you've been out there, my gosh, the 18 car just about took the nose off of Martin Truex Jr.'s car right here on the apron. Truex going slow, and the 18 cut down in front of him. I thought they were going to collide.
And yet Kyle Busch is 16th. 22 of the 24 have now taken time. Danica Patrick and Tony Stewart are the only drivers who have not yet logged in a lap. A.J. Allmendinger had 1 slow lap, but not one up to speed.
Casey Kane just got up to, he's 11th now. Carl Edwards 12th with Kevin Harvick on the bubble. Or knocked out, I'm sorry.
Yep, by 8 1/1000ths of a second. Edwards moves on, and Harv, maybe for the second week in a row, stands down.
Now,
Allmendinger up to 15th now.
The only two drivers of our top 24 that's not made a lap, I talked about Danica Patrick, her and Tony Stewart. They are the only two that's not made a lap so far.
What about our track record holder, current track record holder, Brian Vickers, fast in the first session. He's 10th in this one.
Ryan Newman better than Allmendinger, so Newman will move up the ladder from 22nd, according to our graphic.
Watching these guys kind of float these things off into the corner at over 200 miles an hour, that takes skill, man. It just takes a lot of skill.
Here's Danica Patrick in the 10. We talked about her, had not made a lap so far.
And as she makes her run, happy birthday to Janet Guthrie. Janet turned 76 today, and she leads all women drivers in NASCAR history in career top 10 finishes.
I raced with her. I raced against her. She was a really, really capable driver. She did a nice job back in the day.
Yep. Drove for Ralph Moody. Was a graduate physicist.
Will Conkright was her crew chief. They did a nice job back in the day, boys.
So now the bubble is Casey Kane, and everyone has put in a lap but Tony Stewart. So if you advance to round 2 or round 3, but you are not able to complete a lap, that's okay. You just get the last seated spot in that round. So if Tony Stewart does not make a lap in this round, Sunday he will start 24th, but of course he will make a lap, and here it is. Casey Kane, 28.175. That's the time to beat to lock in to round 2. Look how tight it is for the bubble.
It was that same way last week at Phoenix. I think we'll see that way all year long in this knockout qualifying.
Yeah, I mean, look at those times. 17.3, 17.5, and 17.6. 3.56 right now. 11, 12, 13.
He's a little over 2/10 off of Casey Kane right now. 3/10 now.
Clock's
2
running
minutes.
down.
2 minutes to go.
2-minute warning.
In round 2. And then we'll know which 12 drivers advance to round 3 and which 12 drivers will occupy positions 13 to 24 for Sunday's Kobalt 400. Jeff Gordon currently 21st with a 28.33. So he lacks 16 100ths. Looks like he's found about half of those. Well, now it's coming down.
Boy, it continues to move down, but it's almost like he got in the corner down to the middle real well and then paid price coming off the corner on the exit.
Car looked like it's moving around a good bit, but that's a lot better than he was. He's 14th.
Yeah, 14th for Gordon, not quite enough. Now, Carl Edwards is 1 spot away by, guess how much? 1,000th of a second. Did he make it in? He did.
He's up to 8th.
8th for Edwards. 28.149. And that will push Brian Vickers to the bubble and bump Casey Kane out of the top dozen.
Yeah, and it's 2 1,000ths of a difference right now between Vickers and Kane. And you can see right here, we only have just about 40 seconds left in this session, or this part of it.
And that's now about 30 seconds to start your final lap of this session.
Well, if I'm in the next session pretty solid and I see Joey Logano doing it, I'm out there cooling my car down right now.
Here comes Kyle Busch. Let's see if he can move up from 20th. He does not. He stays 20th.
Jimmy Johnson, currently 10th with a 28.15.
What he's doing is what Darrell was talking about. You feel pretty good about your time. These guys are just out there getting cool because there's only just a 5-minute break before that final 5-minute session.
All right, here comes Paul Menard. He'll be one of the last. He is 21st right now as the flags wave.
Did not advance.
Nope, 28.28 for Menard. Couple of more on flyers. Here comes Harvick and Kurt Busch completing their final laps.
And have to go, boys.
Excuse me, it's Allmendinger and Kurt Busch. And Allmendinger does not move up, nor does Kurt.
Interesting, Larry, our pole sitter, or our fastest qualifier there from the first session, Brian Vickers, just barely made it in. Well, quick.
And 2 of the fastest 3 from the first round do not advance to the final round. Casey Kane and Dale Earnhardt Jr. Kane misses it by 2 1/1000ths. Two rounds down, 1 round to go in knockout qualifying. The fastest 12 drivers are about to run for the pole. Krista's with a driver who missed it by 2 1/1000ths of a second.
Yeah, Mike, that would be Casey Kane. And turns out just ran out of time. You were out there trying to cool your engine because you were in the 12th spot. And then when you got bumped, you had to quick come in, get it taped up. And it was just a matter of, what, seconds to get you back out there.
Yeah, and it was really close. We just missed it by like 2 thousandths. But just didn't have enough time to get it cooled. There's so much going on down here, with especially the first round with all the cars. And when I was cooling, I got a flat right rear, so I had to come in. Well, NASCAR doesn't have enough people to make a call that we can change it. So we sat there and waited, and we didn't get to cool our car down. So that was what hurt us. Is just, if it's going to be this hectic and this stuff much going on, like, NASCAR needs to be aware and get after it and make sure that everybody can can make the adjustments and the changes, because we just had a flat. So that's kind of disappointing. I thought we had a better car than that. And then putting a spare tire on just made us way too tight, so I wasn't able to run as fast as I needed to our final shot there.
Thanks, Casey.
Thanks, Krista. When we come back, we'll show you the list of who will advance to the final round and run for the pole. Two rounds down in knockout qualifying at Las Vegas Motor Speedway for NASCAR's Sprint Cup Series. Here are the drivers that will advance to the final round. Looks like Team Penske, Roush Fenway, well represented up there. And these drivers have locked in positions 13 through 24 for the Kobalt 400 Sunday.
And you saw in the top 12 only 2 Toyota drivers, but it was the 2 Michael Waltrip Racing drivers, not Joe Gibbs.
Matt?
Mike, the Hendrick cars there together. Jeff Gordon just missed it. He will start 15th on Sunday. What was the most challenging part of round 2 for you?
Oh my gosh! Well, round 1 was challenging enough. The day started with the car just too loose right there. So great adjustments by Alan and these guys in this Exalta Chevy SS, and got it tightened up, and we're able to get ourselves solidly into the top 10 to make it to round 2. And I don't know. The second time out, we just couldn't hit 1 and 2. The car just was either a little too tight, or I just got my confidence up and carried a little bit too much entry speed in there, and so I just missed 1 and 2 a tiny bit, especially that last run, but nailed 3 and 4. I mean, this is the way this format is supposed to go. What the hype was and the anticipation or expectations were. That was intense and exciting for everybody here on pit road, and I think everybody watching at home, and still got the pole to go for. I just hate we're not in the middle of it.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
All right, 12 drivers will run for the pole. Track is open for 5 minutes. Now, at the end of session 2, the last 2 drivers on a hot lap were A.J. Allmendinger and Kurt Busch. A.J. aborted his lap, tried to get down and out of the way, but that was where Kurt Busch wanted to be, apparently, because after the session...
Hello.
A little bit of this and that.
And hello again, and goodbye.
Neither advanced to the final round. So Clint Bowyer's the first one out. The teams retain their parking positions on pit road throughout the entire qualifying. They don't move them down to reseed them after each round. So Bowyer, 1 and done. 28:02 is the mark to beat for the pole.
Still running some fast times, Larry. I mean, that's right there just on top of the new track record.
Austin Dillon, 5 1/1000ths behind Bowyer.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be a big sense of urgency to get out there. I still see some drivers like Carl Edwards in the 99. He's still trying to cool his car down from that last round.
I think, Larry, these guys realize with the tires and everything else and where the engines are, you're going to get 1 lap.
1 lap.
And that's it. So this is 1 lap for the pole between 12 guys.
Yeah, I mean, we're not far already from this session being halfway over.
Eric Almirola, 5 1/100ths of a second off, and there's a waiting game.
But Mike, look at those times. 28:02 with a 1, 28:02 with a 6, and a 28:07 with a 6. Right there.
Now you saw Jimmy Johnson's tire man on his 48 car adjusting the air pressures. Jimmy Johnson did the same thing he did to start round 1 and round 2. He went out and ran about a half-speed lap. Now they're making air pressure adjustments that affects the handling of that race car.
I think not only was that a cool-down lap for his engine, but for his tires,
yes,
too.
Sir.
I'm waiting to see the two Team Penske cars run because it appears from last week and this week they have this qualifying system figured out. Here's Brad Keselowski.
I was going to say it won't be long till you get to see them. There's one of them right there, and Joey Logano in the 22 sitting at the exit of pit road.
Mike, you know what they got figured out? They got fast cars.
That too.
Look
they
at the
got
green right
really
there.
fast cars.
He's got more than a 10th in the bank right now and growing over Clint Boyer as he heads off into turn 3.
All right, this could be a, maybe we will get our fastest qualifier in the last session and a track record. Let's see what he can do.
It's going to be a 10th and a half roughly quicker than Boyer.
The line.
Will he be in the 80s? 27.965 for Keselowski. That's a new track record.
There you go. That's what we want to see. The fastest time in the last session, and it probably was a pole time.
All right, 5 drivers have made a run. 5 out of 12.
Here comes Logano. Remember, the 2 and the 22 were on the front row at Phoenix last week, had really fast race cars.
We got a lot of shade along the front straightaway right now and almost all the way through turn 2.
Martin Truex clocks in 6th, 28.19.
Look at that thing hot down that back straightaway. That means she is making some speed.
Darrell, I don't think he's going to do it, though. You can see he's over a 10th and a half slower in the red behind Brad Keselowski.
Now, 5 of these drivers, including the 2 Penske cars, made it to the final round last week. Joey, 27.939, number 1.
And again, another
track
record. I'm loving it. The Penske cars on the front row again so far.
7 out of 12 have made their runs.
It's kind of a little redemption there for Joey if you think about last week. Let's see what we got here.
Now through turn 2, Jimmy Johnson was a little bit ahead of Joey Logano. He keeps going back and forth in and out of the red and the green. Let's see what he can do.
This is going to be close.
And it keeps jumping because it's just so tight right in there.
For Johnson, no, he's 5th. 28.03.
Hey, guys, we're almost out of time.
All right, you have 30 seconds to start your lap. Carl Edwards, 11th. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 12th. Or coming up, excuse me. But Edwards, 11th. That's got to be a disappointment.
And here comes Stenhouse off turn 4. And there goes Carl. What did Carl do?
And that was Carl's get up to speed lap. He is 10th, though. 28.18.
There goes Stenhouse.
And Stenhouse jumps to 6th. 28.03.
That's it.
And just like that, we're done.
That's it, boys.
Round 3. That was quick.
I was going to say that's about as quick as 5 minutes will go by right there.
It was 3 rounds instead of 2 like last week, but the result is the same.
That is some
Team
redemption.
Penske owns the front row in Las Vegas.
I think Joey was a little bitter last week at Phoenix, but he's happy now.
No, he wasn't bitter. He was just disappointed.
Joey Logano wins the Coors Light pole here in Las Vegas. Joey Logano has his first time Las Vegas pole. It's his 8th career pole and the 3rd pole for Team Penske here at Las Vegas. He and his teammate Brad Keselowski will start from the front row Sunday. Matt?
Just like last week at Phoenix, Penske won 2. This time it's reversed, though. What impressed you so much about your car on the fast lap?
I tell you, we got kind of screwed up the first run, and then the 9 car came across us, so we had to cool down, get a decent lap in the first time, and we almost really didn't make the first cut. And then the last 2 runs were really good. Todd Gordon, all the Shell Pennzoil team, they do a great job. And I was all of Penske. Brad and I told them we're 1-1 now. So you got 1, I got 1. So, 2 weeks in a row, right off the bat in the beginning of the season to be, Penske front row. I mean, that's pretty awesome. That's goes to everyone back at the shop. Thank you so much. It's a privilege to drive these cars. It's so much fun, and this track's so fast, so you got to have some good power. We got some great Ford motors in these things, and it's just everything's clicking right now. We just got to win the race. We got to win the big one.
Now, when you put your car P1 at that juncture in qualifying, you said, I felt like I left a little bit out there. Where?
Yeah, I knew Joey was going to beat it. The cars are really consistent at Penske Racing, so if you leave a little bit out there, that your teammate's probably going to get it, he did. So good, they did a good job. Joey's really good at this deal too. So either way, it's still a great front row Penske Racing with their Shell car and the Miller Lite car in the front row 2 weeks in a row. It doesn't feel great to be second, so I know how he felt last week. I know it. But at least we're both in the Unlimited for next year, and that's something to be proud of. And most importantly, is you got to close out the race and win from there.
All right, Mike Joy, the captain, Roger Penske, he's smiling tonight.
A couple of minutes ago, both those drivers, Matt, were touring around this track at 193 miles per hour. Joey Logano has won the pole on Fast Friday, presented by Aleve. He and Brad Keselowski, the two Penske Fords, will start on the front row for the Kobalt 400.
One thing that makes me happy is our fastest qualifier, track record holder, will start from the pole position. Wasn't sure it was going to happen that way. Right. Really happy about that.
And it's the 6th time a front row sweep by Team Penske.
Austin Dillon was quick in that test session yesterday, backed it up with that qualifying effort of 4.
A guy that was pretty good, Clint Boyer in the 15th. Everybody, I listened on the scanner yesterday, said he really got through the bumps down low in 1 and 2 better than anybody. Showed up today.
Kyle Busch, Tony Stewart, fairly deep in the field. A couple of winners from Las Vegas Motor Speedway in the past.
Yeah, both Busch brothers and Tony Stewart starting well back.
Look at Matt Kenseth. Oh, my.
Right behind his teammate, Denny Hamlin.
They got work to do.
Greg Biffle, too tight on that last run, missed the cut. Now back through Alex Bowman, the 23. They qualified on time. Then the provisionals, Allgaier, Annette, Truex, and Sorensen, along with Hill, Quapple, and Ambrose to fill out the 43-car field. 5 drivers failed to qualify. J.J. Yeley hoped to make his first start of the season. Dave Blaney, Landon Castle disappointed again. Joe Nemechek and Blake Cook.
Larry, I think everything really worked well for qualifying today because as the tires went away, the track cooled down. And so what they lost in grip from the tires, I think they gained in grip from the track, and I think that's why we were able to set these fast times.
And we congratulate Team Penske drivers Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski, flip-flopping the front row from last week at Phoenix. Joey Logano, pole winner in Las Vegas.